Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now.
All right, PFL 2024 championships, $1 million prizes, all aboard on the choo-choo train to Saudi Arabia. That's where they're fighting. Flyweight division. It's the only women's division that they have.
Yeah.
Well, they have,
Right
tournament,
now. Yeah.
season or whatnot. Because I don't know what happened with the lightweight and all that.
Well, I mean, Kayla Harrison went to the UFC and she was like the star of the lightweight division. I mean, I guess until Larissa took over, but still, she wasn't as big of a star as Kayla Harrison. So I feel like people probably just didn't really care anymore.
True, but then did they have fucking what's her name? She beat Kayla Harrison.
Larissa
Pacheco.
yeah.
Pacheco. Yeah, Melissa Pacheco, right?
Yeah.
She her beating, it's kind of crazy. Her beating Kayla Harrison might have been the downfall of like, not the downfall, but it might have been like the catalyst of her leaving the PFL.
Yeah, 100%.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I feel like she was such a big star, and then, yeah, I feel like, and also I do feel like the lightweight division maybe wasn't, I mean, she was pretty big for lightweight, but still, now she's doing bantamweight, so maybe that was better for her.
Maybe, but she's gone.
Yeah.
And we only have one women's division in the championships in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, PFL 2024, $1 million prize. Dakota, Ditcheva versus Taila Santos. Taila Santos, former UFC fighter, title contender.
Yeah.
Arguably beat Valentina Shevchenko
I
in a
think she
title
beat her,
fight.
yeah.
A lot of people think that she beat her. That's just kind of like bad luck for Taila Santos. But both these fighters, they came up through the bracket. You can't argue against that. They came up through the bracket. Nothing was handed to them. They had to win the fights, and now they meet in the championships. And I feel like this is the fight that everybody really wanted to see, especially with Dakota. The PFL, you could obviously tell that they want her to be the face or one of the faces of the promotion. And to be the face, you got to win the biggest prizes. Mm-hmm. And this is her first chance.
Yep.
What do you think of the fight? Not the matchup, but the fight overall.
I don't understand the question.
It means like how what do you think of like matchup, meaning like the fight?
Yeah.
That's like they're actually like fighting, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying like when you look at it from the outside, of how they came up and
Right.
all of the details.
Right.
That doesn't really matter in a fight, to be honest. But
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, it's super exciting. Like I'm pumped to watch this. Like, just as you said, they've pushed Dakota very heavily in the PFL. She's kind of like the new Kayla Harrison, really. So, and then she realistically hasn't fought very good competition. I mean, the PFL, this is just kind of the beginning of their flyweight division, right? So they're just kind of sussing it out. They've gotten some new fighters come in and whatnot, and both her and Taila are kind of like the top seeds. I mean, clearly they are. They're fighting for the final, but her previous competition I don't think was really that great, and neither was Talia's. But Taila in the UFC has fought some pretty recognizable names, obviously, the biggest one being Valentina. I think it's going to be really exciting. I think it's a battle of striking versus grappling. We talk about, I was looking into Dakota, and I wanted to watch some of her fights where she did grappling, and she's got some decent understanding of wrestling defensively and grappling, and then people have been saying, oh, well, she did get a submission win, you know, over this one girl recently. And I watched that, and it was against someone who is not a Taila Santos, right? Someone who is not a black belt. She got a rear naked choke with no hooks in. So if anyone knows grappling, they know that something like that can be defended pretty easily if you know what you're doing on the ground, right? So it's like she did get a submission win, but it's hard for me to count that against someone who, you know, isn't very good at grappling, clearly. I don't know much about that previous opponent, but I know that, you know, if you get a rear naked choke, you know, you can properly defend it if someone doesn't have their hooks in. So we have yet to really see Dakota get challenged in the grappling aspect. She seems to have somewhat of a good understanding, but against a black belt, we have no idea, right?
Well, even like, you know, there's a couple opponents in her past that were grapplers.
Yeah.
But they were not, you know, like they didn't have the experience that Taila Santos has. They don't have the level that Taila Santos has. So when you look at Dakota, let's look at Dakota first.
Yeah.
Obviously, she is 13-0, undefeated, 8-0 in PFL. She went to the PFL Europe and won that tournament. Mm-hmm. You know, blew through pretty much everybody. Most of them were first round finishes.
Yeah.
And then she goes to the PFL season with the $1 million prize. First fight, first round, you know, TKO. Second fight, first round TKO. Third fight, first round TKO.
Yeah.
She ran through every single opponent.
Yeah.
And Chelsea Hackett, she was here recently.
Yes.
And she's a striker, and, you know, Dakota dismantled her.
Yeah.
Right?
And that was definitely her toughest opponent, I would say. But yeah, I could definitely see a big size difference between her and Chelsea as well. Dakota is a pretty big flyweight. I wonder how much weight she cuts.
Yeah, her height, did they mention
I think
how
she's
tall
five,
she is?
five,
She's
5'8".
5'8".
Yeah, she's
right?
5'8".
So 5'8" is a pretty tall woman, especially with the reach of 70 inches, right?
Yeah.
Her reach is longer than her height.
Yeah.
Much longer.
Yeah.
And she's a striker, and she's really good at like controlling distance.
Yeah.
She's not like, she doesn't get too wild.
No.
She's very technical, and I you know, that's from her days of Muay Thai and kickboxing and you know, whatever else striking that she was doing coming up. She has the credentials as a high level striker.
Yes.
She's on a 17 fight win streak combined.
That's insane.
It is insane, right? And you know, it almost seems like this is the Kayla Harrison Pacheco Part 2.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right? Brazil
Yeah.
against, you know, a
White.
Westerner. A Westerner, let's say. A Westerner.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, there's a lot, you know, going on here. You know what I mean? And it's almost like a lot of people are underestimating Taila Santos. And we're not underestimating Dakota, because we know what Dakota can do.
Yeah.
We've seen what she can do. She can do this exact same thing to Taila Santos.
She could, yeah.
Right? Because we don't know. We know that her striking is high level, but is it to the level of, let's say, a Valentina Shevchenko in MMA?
Exactly.
Is it to the level of Joanna Jędrzejczyk in MMA? Because both of those fighters come from the same background as Dakota.
Yeah.
And they've had a lot of success, both of them. Both of them are considered two of the best women fighters of all time. And if you make a list of women and men, they would be on that list as well.
Yeah,
you know
100%.
what I mean? Like, they're just skilled, and they're legends.
Yeah. It's like she's clearly above the level of all of these women in the PFL, but is she the level of a Taila Santos or of a Valentina Shevchenko, right? I mean, we can honestly say, is she the level of Valentina Shevchenko? Because arguably Taila Santos won that fight, right? So, yeah, this is going to be her biggest challenge, and I'm very excited to see it.
Yeah, so when you look at Taila, right?
Yeah.
She's actually very similar in height. She's only 2 inches shorter. She's 5'6".
Okay.
Her reach is 68 inches, which is only 2 inches. Oh, actually, it's exact same. Oh no, sorry, not exact same. I forgot to flip.
Yeah. With Taila and her striking, I feel like she doesn't use her length to her advantage as much as I would like to see. Like her last fight in the PFL, the striking was very loopy. It was a lot of hooking, and to be honest, I saw a lot of like open face like punches like this, and that's not using your length to your advantage. But you know, someone like Taila doesn't really need to worry about that as much, right? If she wants to get on the inside and grapple. So if she can just throw a flurry of loopy punches right into Dakota just to engage, you know, a clinch situation, then I could see her, you know, being successful. But Dakota has great knees in the clinch. That's something Taila really needs to worry about.
Yeah, also I feel like Taila might be the stronger fighter. Like, let's say they do start, you know, snatching up. But even though you're the stronger fighter, doesn't mean that you're an advantage in every position. That does not mean that. It just means that, you know, you can kind of muscle out maybe better than your opponent can.
Yeah.
When you look at Santos, you know what I mean, she made her, let's go all the way even back to like the UFC days. You know, she was on Dana White's Contender Series in 2018, won her fight, and then lost her debut, then went on a 4-fight win streak to earn a title shot against Valentina. Lost a split decision. I was there at that fight in Singapore, watched it live, thought that Taila won. You know, it wasn't the most exciting fight, but she did what she needed to do to win.
Yeah, the control time.
Exactly,
right?
Control and had her back.
Yeah.
And all she needs to do is be able to threaten. You know, if you have that position, you would never give up the back.
No.
And then, you would never do that.
I'm happy to make it boring if you know, it's just 5 minutes of me on back, right?
Yeah.
And Valentina's good at defending, so it makes sense that, you know, it did get a little boring, right?
Yeah, so like, you know, there was like, oh, you know, is there going to be a rematch? The rematch never happened. You know what I mean? That was something that I wanted to see because Valentina looked vulnerable. But instead, guess what? Valentina went and lost to Alexa Grasso.
Yep.
And I feel like if Taila would have had her second chance, she probably might have done what Alexa Grasso did. Because Valentina was showing kind of, maybe she was lacking in some areas, right? Because she's been winning for so long.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing wrong with that. It just happens in fighting. You lack, the next contender is going to come in and fill that void, and next thing you know, you lost the belt. You know what I mean? That's what happened to Valentina. Yeah. But anyways, going back to Santos, the fight after that, it was more than a year later against Erin Blanchfield, who is probably going to be a future champ in that flyweight division in the UFC. Lost a decision to her. She gets, you know, she leaves the UFC, signs with PFL. I feel like that was a great move because the money you can make in PFL compared to the money that you're making in the UFC as Taila Santos is much bigger. And Taila Santos is not like trash talking, or you don't really see her too much.
No, she's not really into the drama that the UFC kind of wants.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah. The UFC definitely wants that. So she comes in, first fight, she faces Lara Joanne or whatever, Joanne, I don't know. Lara.
Yeah.
Finishes her in the first round, rear naked choke, faces Jenna Bishop, who Dakota faced actually in her last fight, and Dakota finished her in the first round.
Yeah.
Taila squeezed by with the split decision. And then after that, I feel like this is the most important fight. Taila Santos versus Liz Carmouche. If you know who Liz Carmouche is, she's the former UFC vet. She almost beat Ronda Rousey, dude. Yeah. Like, that shit was close. Like, I think a lot of people forget that fight, right? Yeah. She had Ronda Rousey's back and the neck crank just... Dude, I was like, I was watching that live. I was like shocked. Like, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Liz Carmouche, I have so much respect for her. But still a high level fighter. She was the Bellator champ. They put her in the playoffs. And they, you know, a lot of people wanted Liz Carmouche to fight Dakota.
Okay.
Because that would have been the challenge to maybe set it up. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that never happened. That, you know, people considered maybe the two better fighters. The veterans fought each other, and Taila Santos won. You know what I mean?
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
a huge win
It is.
for her. And I feel like that fight determines what happens in the next fight.
Yeah.
I feel like, I'm thinking there's going to be an upset. I don't know why. I like Dakota a lot. I feel like she's fearless. She has a lot of confidence. She has a great team at American Top Team. She's been working on her grappling, her wrestling, all of that stuff. But Santos has been the grappler. She's been that girl for a while, right? And I wonder if she's going to be able to match that.
Yeah.
And we had a kind of like a similar fight last weekend between Yan Xiaonan and Tabitha Ritchie.
Yeah.
And that could possibly happen. That fight right there that we saw, that could happen in this fight. Because right now, you don't need to finish the fight.
No.
You just need to win.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in the season you have to have like the 6 point.
Yeah, the points.
But then once you get into the playoffs, then it doesn't matter. Just win or lose.
It's
whatever.
just win.
Yeah.
And she has the ability to have a lot of control time, maybe even threaten with submissions.
Yeah.
If she can do that every round, she could win a decision, or even she can finish Dakota if that plays in her favor.
Yeah.
But I also see an alternate like scenario where like Yan Xiaonan was just so slick with her boxing.
Yeah.
To where Tabitha Ritchie,
so confident.
She was lost in there.
Yeah. I mean, Tabitha Ritchie did put up a good fight, I think. Honestly, she did. She was trying. And that's something as well, like, okay, say Taila does completely control the fight and but Dakota is good at defending and showcases a bit more of her grappling skills, right? Maybe is unable to get submitted. That doesn't negate her as like as a fighter and as a whole, right? Like, she still is a top level fighter, and even if she does lose, it shows that she's resilient and she's tough and she can handle the grappling aspect of someone as skilled as Taila. So it's like, it's honestly not a bad situation for Dakota if she ends up losing. If she loses in a terrible fashion, like she gets submitted in the first round, then that kind of shows something. Okay, maybe Dakota's previous opponents really were that bad or something, right? But if it goes to decision, I mean, it still shows Dakota as being a top level fighter. So I think
this could happen. Taila goes in there, like this. Like, I feel like whoever starts the fight, like in their strength, could kind of set the pace.
Yeah,
and then that pace will allow them to either finish the fight or win a decision. Like, and I think Taila, if she goes in there, she needs to engage in the grappling immediately. While they're still, so they say, while they're still dry and all that. And because imagine, like, Taila goes in there, she clinches up with her and just drags her to the ground and then mounts her, takes her back and just, punishes her. Like, that's what she needs to do to kind of, like, get Dakota thinking like, oh shit, it's not gonna be easy. I'm not gonna be able to just like snipe her. But then I could see her doing that, and then Dakota surviving, because Dakota's been fighting for a long time. She's not looking for a way out. Surviving a beating, then come back the second round and Dakota pieces her up because Talia's tired.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like,
it could happen.
But then go ahead.
No, you go.
I think, but also Taila could just go in there and like take her down every round and control her, and then have this boring ass 5-round fight, but still win $1 million.
Yeah, it could happen. And the other thing as well is Dakota knows exactly what Taila is planning on doing as well. So I'm sure her entire fight camp has been, wrestling defense, grappling defense, and I'm sure like that's something that she's been working on for the entire time she's been in the PFL. Someone like Jenna Bishop, she was the world no-gi champion, and unfortunately we didn't get to see too much grappling in that fight because she got knocked out. But I'm sure she was preparing herself for that girl as well. So I'd really like to see like a longer fight so I could really see like Dakota's skill in the grappling, and see if it's like up to par.
Well, the thing about Santos is that her striking is, I feel like it's probably better than a lot of the girls that Dakota has faced. Because when you look at her record, man, she has some serious like knockouts.
Yeah.
Like head kick knockouts.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. So it's not the out of the realm of possibility that Taila Santos goes in there and could possibly get a knockout. We just saw Kong Wang. We hyped up so much.
Oh man, that
and
was
she
insane.
just went reckless, right?
Yeah.
And then just like got
She
dropped.
was too confident.
Exactly. She got
Too
dropped.
cocky.
She was eating the hype, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
contribute to that,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. We fueled that fire.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, that could happen in this fight too. There's so many scenarios, right? But one thing is clear, this is Dakota's biggest test.
Yes.
I don't even think this is Talia's biggest test. She's used to this.
Yeah.
She's faced Erin
Valentina
Blanchfield.
was her biggest test.
Yeah,
right?
Valentina. She faced Valentina. She faced Erin Blanchfield.
Yeah.
Imagine if Erin Blanchfield fought Dakota.
Ooh.
That's a hard fight. That's a hard
Yeah.
fight for Dakota.
Yeah.
Valentina fighting. I feel like Erin Blanchfield would be a harder fight for Dakota than Shevchenko.
Yeah.
Because Shevchenko is going to strike with her. So
Yeah,
that's kind of
yeah,
like, it'll turn
this is
into a
true,
striking
yeah.
battle,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
And
for
there's
sure.
opportunities will come. But if I'm going to give like a final prediction on this fight, man, I think it's hard. I think that Taila Santos wins a boring fight.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm with you on that. I want to see an upset. I mean, I'd love to see a big upset, you know, like what we saw with Kong Wang and Gabriel Fernandez, but I'm not banking on that. I feel like
Dakota's not that type of fighter either. She's not gonna go in there and like go like
No,
blow for blow. Not like Kong Wang
not
was
with
doing.
Taila. You're right. Not
Yeah.
with Taila because Gabrielle Fernandez against Kong Wang like that, nobody really knew who Gabrielle Fernandez was, right? Whereas this is Taila Santos. This is someone who's
She has
fought
10
with the best.
knockouts.
Yeah.
On her record, so
Yeah.
like
Taila Santos also has never been knocked out, so
that's true.
that's something to say. The only losses she's had is by decision. So.
Yeah, 2 split decisions too.
Yeah.
And then the Erin Blanchfield was a unanimous. But
Yeah, so she's legit.
and she's 31 as well. Like Dakota, she's good, but I don't think we've seen the best of her.
Right.
She's 26.
Okay. Yeah.
Taila Santos is 31. She's got to be in the middle of her prime
Oh yeah.
right now. And I feel like her beating Liz Carmouche gives me confidence that she can do that when she goes in against Dakota.
Yeah.
Right? Or I see Dakota maybe just piecing her up like Yan Zhaonan did to Tapu Richie. That could be a huge possibility. That's the 2 things I'm looking at. Santos is controlling the fight, maybe threatening with, submissions and like winning rounds with grappling. Or Dakota goes in there and just pieces her up.
Yeah.
Like bad. Like when, like it's a knockout. Like it's happening. This is like one of those like, it's not a make or break moment for Dakota,
No.
but it's one of those fights where it can actually really launch her, into
definitely.
like superstardom with
Definitely. But just as I said, even if she loses, but she puts up a good fight, like it's not going to be detrimental to her career whatsoever. Yeah, but I'm going for Talia because I kind of like to see the hype trains derailed, I'm kind of like they're bringing up Dakota so much, and yes, she is a good fighter. Clearly, she's very good at striking, but yeah, I just want to see her challenged, and I think Talia's the one to do it.
And Talia's jacked too. Like
She is.
She's physically very imposing, right?
Yeah.
Compared to Dakota. Dakota looks like a model body. She
yeah.
kind of has like a model, like long, slim.
Toothpick.
Yeah, she could be like walking the
Toothpick
runway.
energy. Yeah.
Yeah. So, she it's gonna be the thing is like I'm gonna tune in and I'm looking at the first round real carefully. The first minute, 2 minutes real carefully to see like, okay. But this is 5 rounds. Can they last 5 rounds? Because Dakota has never went 5 rounds.
Right, that's something else. Like, is her cardio going to be able to handle it, right?
Yeah, because most of her fights are first round finishes.
Yeah, especially when it's going to be all wrestling. So it's like there's such a big difference between being tired from striking and being tired from wrestling, right? And maybe she hasn't been pushed to that limit. Because it's like, okay, you can get pushed to that limit in training, But when you're in a fight, you've got the adrenaline, you've got your heart pumping extra fast, you know, maybe you're not breathing correctly. Like it's a totally different energy. And so it'll be interesting to see whether she can handle it.
Yeah, so 2-inch difference in height, 2-inch difference in reach, favoring Dakota. 26 years, age favoring Dakota. You know, what else is favoring? The odds favor Dakota minus 355 compared to Taila, who's a plus 280 underdog. If I was betting, I would throw some money on the underdog plus 280 and even like a submission, like prop or whatever, and that's probably plus something crazy as well.
Yeah, I might have to
just from a betting perspective.
Yeah,